Alrighty guys, as you can hear, bringing you another Dragon Ball Legends ToP guide video. So I'm going to be showing you what teams you should be using for ToP Season 13. Alright, so as you guys do know, from last season, the team that I was running was actually going to be Minions, and I was able to make it into the top 1K. I was at rank like 700 and something, right? And you know, I was able to get all the way to the end without dying. I went through the whole board with Minions without dying, which honestly, that's pretty good, right? Every time that I ran Minions in the past, I did die once or twice. Still getting in the top 6K, but this is probably the highest that I ever got with them. Mostly because we now have a healer on that team, right? So that being said, there will be timestamps in the description below. I got my top 5 teams for you. I got the board awareness telling you like what to be aware of, like on the board, what teams to be wary of and stuff like that, as well as going over the new units that we're going to be getting. So that being said, let's get right into the team selection. Okay, so the first team I wanted to go ahead and talk about is going to be Minions. I think that's obviously the easiest choice, right, as this was the team that I was using last season. I honestly didn't find anyone on the leaderboard as of right now using this team. I did find that a little bit weird. I find that a little bit suspicious, but I do know why, right? So the main reason why I'm not really seeing too many of these guys in the leaderboard right now is because you filter this by Z tier, right? And only 5 of the members are right here, right? So we got Pool, Orlin, Nabana, Robbery, and Ramon. Right, that's only the pull force. But if we filter this by S tier, that's where all the Cyber Squad is at. So that's the main thing right there, right? All the Cyber Squad got moved to S tier, which is unfortunate. So you probably are going to see a dip in your points right there. But either way, you still are going to want this guy 100%, this Q-Gun man, because of the fact that he can heal your allies, right? At the end of the third turn, he restores health by 4%, which is pretty good. And then this guy, who's able to get a blue card essentially every single turn, right? At the start of, or not every turn, every fight. At the start of every turn, he does get a 30% to special move gauge. And then as for, if you don't want to run all Cybermen, you don't want to risk it all like that, you can go ahead and look at some other units. Some of which I really like a lot is going to be the purple Captain Ginyu, right? I feel like he is absolutely amazing for this, and he actually is in Z tier, as you can see right here. I would go ahead and just put him on there, slap him on there if you guys want. I still think Minions is the best free-to-play team to use, and if you guys are really struggling on choosing a team, you guys have these guys all at 14 stars, which is heavily advised, then I would definitely recommend these guys, right? Alright, for the next team that I wanted to go ahead and talk about is going to be Sagas from the movie. So this is actually the team that I'm seeing literally everywhere, and actually I would actually replace one of these guys for Gokua. Speaking of which, just go down into our extremes and go ahead and place that out in there, and we'll go back to that later. But so as always, actually, if you look at the leaderboard, you can see a million Sagas from the movies users right there, right? So you can see right here on the right hand side of the screen, we got the rank number 1 player, and he's actually kind of using a weird Sagas from the movies team. I don't know if he's going to hold rank 1 for the rest of the season, but it honestly is quite possible. These red Android 18 teams, they're always kind of like, they look oddball, they look a little bit weird, but they work surprisingly well, right? That red 18 is really, really damn good, and you place her right in the perfect spot, like right in the center. She's going to be healing the top left diagonal and the top right diagonal, regardless of what tag they are. So that Broly right there is going to be getting heals, and the Bojack is going to be getting heals. But anyways, going back to just the roots of Sagas, both Bojacks are still mandatory. Both of them are Z tier. There's no reason why you should not be running them. If you don't have both Bojacks, I think it's a little bit iffy on bringing these guys in the first place. But other than that, you have some really, really sleeper units here. Like this purple Vegeta is absolutely amazing for this game mode, right? He has a really good kit in terms of which he can restore his own health by 7%, and that activates twice. 7% is a lot, guys. Right, that's honestly a lot. That alone actually makes him pretty viable in this. This Gohan is also pretty resilient as well. He has a transformation and stuff like that, right? He's able to transform in the second turn. He also has a similar effect to that purple Vegeta. After receiving an attack, he restores his own health by 5%, and that activates twice. And typically, I like this purple Gohan, this revival Gohan on bench for Sagas, right? Because he is a healer, and he does provide a lot of other support in different ways. As in, he gives 30% to special move gauge charge rate for 2 turns. So honestly, pretty nice, right? And then Gokua, he's in Z tier, right? That's pretty much all I have to say. One of his main shticks is that he does have a pretty substantial buff to hybrid Saiyans, and at the start of the second turn he gets 40% to his special move gauge, meaning that he's probably going to be getting blue cards pretty frequently, right? Not every single fight, but pretty frequently. Alright, for the next thing that we're going to be talking about is androids. Again, you have the leaderboard player, rank 43 on the right hand side of the screen. You can see there's a couple differences between our androids teams right here. This is the androids team that I always use. Like, I literally never stray from using this team no matter what tier they're in. If I have this filtered by Z, and only 2 of my units are, or actually 3 of my units are in Z tier right here, right? And the rest are pretty much just in S tier. You can see like pretty much all filled up right here, right? But the main reason for that is just because they mesh so well together. So let's go ahead and get into it. So green 16 is a must bring, and he's Z tier. And right alongside him, you want to bring in that red 18. She's probably like one of the best healers in the entire ToP game mode, right? And I have her exactly where I want her, right there in that bottom slot right there, where she's going to be able to heal Android 16 and heal whoever I want. It doesn't always have to be 18. Sometimes I have Super 17 there, or I'll have double heals for this Android 21 and stuff like that. It can go either way. This unit right here I absolutely love, completely free to play and stuff like that. And look at all of the buffs that she gives, right? She gives buffs for androids, she gives buff for regeneration, and she gives buffs for girls and for transforming warriors. And the only one that can fulfill all of those requirements is that purple 21. That's why I always like to run them together. So it's like they're the wombo combo, both the 21s, and then the 18 and the 16 are also another wombo combo of their own, right? So I really do like bringing those in. And so a lot of your units will be in S tier, like I said, especially if you don't have like the optimal setup right here. But you know, I still think it's worth bringing in like this. But on the flip side, as you can see right here on the right hand side, this guy has a really startup cell. And what did I tell you guys Cell is actually good for the last time he actually came out? Was Cell counters hybrids pretty well. He has a substantial buff against them, just like Goku does, and this is actually a hybrid heavy season. So if you have him, I would highly suggest bringing him, or advise bringing him. Alright, for the next thing I want to go ahead and talk about is going to be GT. So this is actually a team that I slept on for a really long time. But as you can tell from last season, actually, I think like the top 5 people were like majority of them were in GT, right? A lot of them were in GT just overall right there at the end of that season. And you know, this guy's setup that I have right here on screen, I think it's probably like one of the most optimal GT setups right here. He does have the Kid Goku, right? That red Kid Goku is amazing. We can actually pull up what he does right here. The reason why he's so damn good is because at the start of first turn, he gets 50% to special move gauge. Right, so he's getting his special move every other fight, which is damn good. He also increases his damage per strike and stuff like that. He's honestly amazing. And not only that, both the Kid Gokus are actually pretty damn good, right? Because this guy, he basically stops your opponent from even attacking. So at the start of the first turn, he basically uses his green card, which inflicts the enemy with can attack for one turn, one of your enemies, right? And then he also gets 15% to his own special move gauge. So you're going to be seeing some special moves with him as well. Obviously, Baby being one of the best healers, if not the best healer in the game. I actually would go as far as to say he's the best healer in the game, especially for GT and regeneration, right? Restores health by 3%, 15% to damage inflicted for one turn, and gets a bonus 30% to health restoration. And honestly, even this Baby right here, I don't have him soul boosted at all, because he's kind of trash in PvP, more than trash in PvP. But when it comes to ToP, he actually provides a good chunk of support right here, right? And he heals himself as well, so that's already very valuable as well. He can inflict bleed and stuff like that. And then that's just his first unique, right? You don't even really need to go into the second one to just be like, this guy is absolutely viable. And then on the flip side, Oob basically does the same thing, right? He has a good amount of support right here, 15% to damage inflicted for one turn, and he also heals himself at the start of the second turn for 5%, both of which are very valuable, right? You already can tell that this is going to be a beefy team. And if you have both of the Shadow Dragons, I only have Ice Shenron, but if I had Nova Shenron, I would make a place for him on here. But both of the Shadow Dragons activate their green cards, right? So Ice Shenron, he can activate his green card against strike cards, right? Mitigating an attack that way. And Nova Shenron, he can activate his green card, mitigating both blast and strike cards. So you are not really going to be taking a whole lot of damage, and that's why these GT users are getting so high up in the ranks, right? Because at the ToP, you get points based on how much damage you dish out, as well as how much damage you're taking. right? So that's very, very important to know. GT is absolutely amazing. All right, for the last team that I wanted to go and talk about is going to be LOE, dude. So I honestly, I don't really like bringing up LOE for this, right? Because I think everyone knows that they're good, right? And if you have a stacked LOE team, I think it's guaranteed that you're going to bring them in. But I feel like just no one has LOE, like in terms of like, I feel like it's, I feel like I see LOE a lot, but only in ToP. Right, it's just very, very Zenkai heavy. As you can see right here on the right hand side of the screen, he has the LF Zenkai, he has the Cooler Zenkai, honestly, which is not too difficult to get, but he also has the Red Metal Cooler Zenkai. Sometimes you see people with the Yellow Frieza Zenkai, or you definitely see everyone with the LF Yellow Frieza, right, the newest one that came out. So very, very expensive team, I'm not gonna lie, but I guess the same could be said about GT and androids and stuff like that, so I definitely cannot count them out. Let's run this down real quick. So LF Purple Frieza, he basically has a cover change for the entire board, and he can inflict can attack for on turn 1, right? And guess what? This Red Frieza right here can do the same damn thing right here. At the very first turn, he inflicts enemy with can attack for 1 turn, basically using his green card. They both use their green cards, so already you're having damage mitigation right there, right? And then the full power Frieza, which is probably like one of my favorite units on LOE, he actually does get a blue card after receiving a blast, right? And he doesn't have to actually eat the blast, he actually uses his green card against the blast, and that's how he gets his blue card in return, right? That's pretty damn good overall, right? I always talk about him. This information is like ingrained into my brain. And then obviously you have both of the metal coolers. This one right here, he's very durable, he heals himself. This metal cooler up here, I really like him a lot because he also heals himself, right? It's just like you have so much utility and so much support, right? You even have like this blue cooler right here. I only have him at Zenkai 1, but he still is able to provide crits and damage inflicted in a short range, right? It's not a massive block or a massive like amount of like tiles that you can actually use this, but it's still good nonetheless, especially if you're getting the inflated like Zenkai stats and stuff like that. My LOE team is trash, so you can kind of ignore mine, but definitely pay attention to this guy's right here, right? But although if you do not have blue cooler, this guy is definitely a must bring. You can even see right here on the right hand side, this guy actually has him on his backup, right? Because he does provide a board wide buff for Frieza Force. That does not include cooler, unfortunately, but 20% to everyone on your board is still pretty damn good. Alright, so now let's talk about board awareness. So I've noticed, I went through the entire board, looked at all the tiles and stuff like that, and from what I gathered from just like my first look through, is that hybrids / Slen family and movies are running rampant this season. So I'm going to basically go ahead and tell you guys how to essentially counter this, right? So as in for hybrids, the person that you really want to go after the first and foremost is always going to be this yellow Goten right here. So whenever you're looking right here, make sure you're clicking him. As you can see right here, once I do click him, the 1 pops up by his name. You can choose your attack order and stuff like that, right? So you want Goten out of the way first because he can get a blue card. If you're running purple units, obviously this is very, very bad. And going back to when we were talking about teams, I was talking about Gokua and Cell, right? So Gokua he has a buff against hybrids, very, very juicy buff in that aspect, right? And then Cell, he also has an extremely good buff against hybrids as well. So both of those guys are going to be your best friends. I guarantee you that is why we're seeing Sagas from the movies so much in the leaderboard right now. And I bet if a lot of people had Cell, that new LF Cell, he would be everywhere as well. Now the one thing that I do want you guys to be advised of for hybrids is this kind of setup in particular. I always talk about this setup. I always will talk about this setup. Blue Gohan and Goten are like one of the most annoying combos in the game, right? So this Blue Gohan up here, right? He takes all the attacks for that first turn. Remember, Goten gets his super attack on the second turn. So if you can't get through this Blue Gohan, like at least on the first turn, and then mow through Goten on the second, you're probably going to get hit with the super attack, and it's very, very annoying. So just be cautious of that. I tend to try to do my best to avoid this fight altogether. Alright, so now let's talk about movies. Honestly, I don't think movies is too difficult to handle, but if you don't know what you're dealing with, you can get destroyed by this team, right? So movies can counter movies. I think that's safe to say. But the thing is that the Bojacks, you have to really be careful with the Bojacks. Like I said before, both of the Bojacks get their super attacks on turn 2, right? So The way I like to approach this is I like to target this red Bojack first, right? The red Bojack goes first purely because of the fact that he has a higher key restore, so he will be attacking first. So you want to get him out of the way first. This purple Bojack has a really low key restore, so he's more than likely going to be attacking at the end of the cycle. So it's okay to go ahead and target him second. I think that's the best option that you guys can do right here, right? And then honestly, just the rest of the units, they're not too bad to deal with overall. Like this Princess Trunks is fairly squishy and stuff like that. Gokua at low stars, you're going to be able to mow through him. And just remember the Bojacks, right? The Bojacks. And if you come across Janemba, he can eat blast attacks. So that's something important to note as well. Once again, if you come across this stage, just kill Yellow Kid Gohan first, please, man. I will always say this to go ahead and just try and do my best to protect you guys. He will unleash a bombardment of Masenkos your way if you don't kill him first. For every unit that you kill that is not him, he will get his blue card. So overall, that's the board awareness pretty much right there, right? So if you are just going through this and you see like EX stages and stuff like that where there's a bunch of EX units, I honestly advise going for those, or even stages like this, right? These sparkings that don't really match up together. Shallot, it's not going to be doing anything to you. Typically, fights like that are going to be a lot more easier than the other ones that I was mentioning. Alright, so that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the new units. So the first unit that we're going to be starting off with is going to be Omega Shenron. So we can go ahead, I have him pulled up right here on DBZ space and stuff like that. So let's go down to his Ultra ability, right? So starting off with his Ultra ability, we have the Resonance of Force. So he's going to be giving 5% to damage inflicted, 5% to key recovery per allied GT, right? And so this is given to the allies and stuff like that. He also gets inflict attribute downgrade minus 15% to health restoration for 2 turns. Definitely not bad at all. Keep going down to his uniques. He gets 30% to damage inflicted, 30% to damage minus 30% to damage received, and he also has this ability where after receiving an attack, once he's below 50% HP, he restores his own health by 10%. That activates once. He upgrades his own special move arts, which is not too big of a deal, right? I don't think that's a massive impact. We could honestly, that could not have been in there and it wouldn't have really mattered. And then 10% to damage inflicted by allied tag GT activates once. And then he also has another unique where it's minus 10% to next damage sustained effects remain until hit with an enemy attack. And after he receives a strike, blast, or special move arts attack, he gets 10% to damage inflicted and 15% to key recovery. Honestly, nothing too like I feel like there's nothing too insane here. I feel like he's still going to be good on GT and stuff like that, but GT already has like so many like good members already. Like everyone on GT is just absolutely like all the mainstays at least, right? All of them are just absolutely amazing when it comes to ToP, and I don't really see this guy just taking anyone's spot and stuff like that. Especially because he only heals himself once he himself gets below 50% HP, which is kind of iffy. I don't know. I don't really know about that. But anyways, let's go ahead and move on to Fused Piccolo. So we have the new Fused Piccolo right here. So let's go ahead and look at it. His ToP kit. Pretty bare bones, right? So 30% to damage inflicted, minus 15% to damage received. And then at the start of turn, according to number of enemies remaining, so if there's 6 enemies, he gets 50%, 5 enemies, 35%, 4 enemies, 20%. So the less enemies there are, the weaker you're going to get, which I think is kind of lame. I'm not going to lie. And then he has this one right here, so 20% to strike damage inflicted by allies. So he has a little bit of support, which honestly is not bad. He also gets minus 10% to own damage received for 2 turns. He gives himself critical rate by 50%, which is a pretty big number. And he inflicts enemies with the attribute downgrade plus 30% to damage received. So honestly, this unique ability is actually pretty damn good. I'm not gonna lie. This up here, I absolutely hate. So I would say that this guy's going to be pretty mid when it comes to ToP. Nothing too noteworthy. This guy, on the other hand, I think he's going to be amazing for ToP. So Super Saiyan Goku. Let's go ahead and take a look at his kit. So on hit, target is Lineage of Evil. You're already getting a 25% damage inflicted instantly. Lineage of Evil, like this may seem a little bit like niche in terms of like PvP and stuff like that, but sometimes we have heavy Lineage of Evil seasons, right? So this actually would be a really great addition for your Saiyan teams and stuff like that. Saiyans can be a very free to play friendly team. You guys summon for this guy, you slap him on there. I honestly don't think he's going to do bad at all. You get a 40% to damage inflicted for 1 turn and minus 30% to damage received. And look at this, after receiving an attack, multi-target, you get restores health of allies in range by 3%. That activates twice. So you're going to be getting this heal 2 times for as long as you get hit 2 times, right? You also get 20% to your own damage inflicted, and that cannot be canceled. And plus you get blue card charge rate, 30%. That activates twice. You're going to be farming blue cards like crazy. You also get this this one right here, where it's Defender of Earth, where he's going to be able to get a cover change on strike arts once you're below 30% HP on one of your allies. You also get just inherent support right here. Start at the battle, allies in range plus 15% to damage inflicted. That is damn good, bro. This guy is going to be amazing in ToP. Honestly, I hope I get him just so I can start him up for ToP specifically. Alright, so that being said, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for today's ToP guide. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you guys have any questions, be sure to always leave them in the comment section down below. And if you have if you see a question in there that you have the answer to, definitely feel free to help out the others within the community. I do like to have that sense of community and stuff like that. And that being said, if you guys enjoyed the content, definitely leave a like, a comment, maybe even consider hitting that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later!